Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Monday evening webinar. We have been using this channel, if you will, for the last 5 years to talk about essential oils and to bring all of the concepts that we possibly can to you, our wonderful audience. And this has been a dedicated space for us to get together on a weekly basis and talk about all different sorts of things. Over a 4-week series, we're going to be talking about the A, B, C's, and D's of essential oil usage and also sharing, which I think is super important as we go out and we talk to other people and we try to help them to use essential oils. And as we ourselves grow in our journey of using essential oils, we want to make sure that we're being effective, not only for ourselves, but for our families. We're talking about changing households, folks. We're talking about changing individual lives, but we're also talking about changing households. So I was actually in an event over the weekend in New York City. There were about, it was a back-to-back event, morning and afternoon. There were about, I would say about 600 people that came in the morning, and then about another 600 or 700 that came in the afternoon, to talk all about essential oils and talk specifically about how in the morning we talked about essential oil usage, and in the afternoon we talked about essential oil sharing. And I think the message is very clear from doTERRA Corporate that they want us to share, and they're encouraging us to do so, and that in a spirit of community, they want us to reach out to our fellow man and really make sure that we're spreading the message of good health and wellness. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and we're going to get started. Today we're talking about the B's of essential oils, or the behavior. What's your essential oil behavior? So if you are a user, are you using your oils in a way that you're going to get good results? And if you're a sharer, are there any things that might be holding you back? What's your behavior? And I want to say also good morning to everybody who's just joining us. If you're in the United States, if you are in Southeast Asia, which most of the people on this call are, good evening. If you're welcoming, just getting on from Europe, good afternoon. So here we go. So this is part 2, as you can see, in a 4-part series, C's, and D's of essential oil, usage and sharing. And part 2 is behavior. Are you using your oils to get results? And if you are sharing, are you taking all the right steps? Today, as many of you know, is the first day of a new BOGO week. So congratulations to everyone who has rushed out earlier today to get some of the BOGOs. I hope that you were successful. The NFR BOGOs are just starting. The office isn't even open yet in Utah, but I know the BOGOs are already available online. We're going to be posting more information about BOGOs all day long, but I want to make sure that you are getting the information that you need to reach out to your teams today. And part of what you need to reach out is what you're going to hear today on this call. So first thing is Henry Ford, who was, as you know, the founder of Ford Motor Cars, said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right. And many of you have heard this statement before, but I don't know if you've necessarily intuited what it means, but it basically talks to that idea of whether we're feeling positive or negative about anything, any action, any plan of attack, if you will, whether we think that we can do it or we think that we can't do it. Our mindset and our ability to do a thing is really directly correlated. So for those of you who are naturally positive, this may come as no shock to you. Absolutely, I think I can do it, and therefore I can. And for those of you who maybe are not as positive, who tend to be a little bit pessimistic or argumentative, then I want you to really reach deep down inside and say to yourself, okay, I want to look at the obstacles that I may face, but I also want to be able to bolster myself and use good judgment and good behaviors so that I can be successful. So if you are naturally positive, you may have to rein yourself in a little bit because it seems like everything is possible. And if you're naturally negative or naturally inclined to be a pessimistic person, I want you to look at your behaviors as well, because we all are a little bit different and we have different strengths, which goes back to what I've talked to you about on this call many times, going to your Strengths Finder and taking the Strengths Finder survey and getting an absolute picture of what it is that you're good at and then working with that goodness. Okay, so number one we want to talk about when we're using essential oils is to be consistent. This is the number one behavior and really the only behavior that we want to talk about when we're talking about essential oil usage, but it has different components, of course. So, of course, most applications of essential oils are small. One drop will do the trick, and less is more. Better to repeat small amounts, 1 to 4 drops, than to take large amounts all at once. And to support any long-term daily ailment, or any long-term ailment, you will need to repeat your applications regularly. But that's true of whether or not we're facing something that's short-term or long-term. So if I were to get a cold or a flu, something that I would be certain that would pass, but might be plaguing me right now, I want to be consistent in my essential oil usage. I don't want to drown myself in essential oils. I don't want to take too many oils all at once. I want to repeat small amounts over the course of my illness. The same thing is true if I'm suffering from something that's more chronic. I'm going to use arthritis as an example. My mother, who is almost 90, has arthritis, not rheumatoid, but she does have arthritis. And it has been a gentle or general wearing away of the joints and the ligaments of mostly in cartilage of her knees primarily, but other areas of her body. And she does feel discomfort during the day, especially if it's a very humid day or if we are have a storm approaching, if it's about to rain or snow, she'll feel it in all of her joints and she'll feel very achy as the barometric pressure is dropping. And what I encourage her to do is to take small amounts of essential oils every day. So for example, when she wakes up, she applies things like Aroma Touch, and marjoram. She applies her deep blue rub. She also applies wintergreen and also balance on the soles of her feet. And when she retires at night, she'll repeat that routine and maybe add something like cedarwood or copaiba, apply directly to the joints and areas of concern, but also to the soles of her feet. She keeps a diffuser in her room. She actually keeps 2 diffusers in her bedroom, if you can believe it. I think it's because of ease of use, because at almost 90, sometimes my mother's just ability to work any sort of device or machine has become a little bit challenged. So I think before she goes to bed, she wants the simplest one. And she'll diffuse at night and also again upon waking. So that idea that she's using essential oils consistently, I would say she's probably using 3 to 4 essential oils in the morning and again 3 to 4 at night, but not 50 drops of each oil, maybe 1 or 2 drops of each oil. So the combined application in the morning is maybe 8 to 12 drops and again 8 to 12 drops at night. So the idea that she's getting to about 24 drops in 24 hours. Her body is also, and her skin specifically, is accustomed to the application of these oils over a long period of time. My mother's been using essential oils almost as long as I have been, and she's accustomed to using certain products. Now, from time to time, I'll actually say to her, Mom, let's shake things up a little bit. Copaiba is a great example. When Copaiba was announced at the last convention in September of 2017, it was a brand new addition to her repertoire as soon as I could get it home, because I felt that it really addressed the needs that she has: anti-inflammatory, anti-discomfort. I wanted to make sure that that was something that we rotated in. And she has substituted in and out other oils as I've learned more, because we really work together in this, my mother and I. She loves to learn. She's a lifelong learner, and she is a retired educator. She was a teacher and then an elementary school principal. So her desire is to know more, but we want to make sure that she's not overpowering herself. So if every time she fell in love with a new essential oil and just added that to her routine, eventually she would be using maybe 20 essential oils or 30 on a regular basis, which is really unsustainable for anybody. She could spend half of her day just applying essential oils, and we don't want to get to that point, but we do want to challenge the body from time to time with new things, or when we hear about new science, and help it to learn about and experience new essential oils. The other thing we want to talk about is how do we improve behavior when we're using essential oils. So number one is to put our oils right where we are most likely to see them. So for my mom, that means putting them right on her bedside table. She has actually a large table right next to her on one side of her bed, and she has a little display there of, I would say, about 8 bottles, so the 4 for the morning and the four at night. And so the minute she wakes up, she can see them. Before she goes to bed, she sits on that side of the bed, she sees whatever's available for her. I keep my oils actually in the kitchen right next to my supplements. When I open my cabinet first thing in the morning, I see my supplements, and then I see my oils, and I know, oh, the mental trigger. I know that's what I need to take. They're also right where I serve myself my water in the morning, very close to. So the whole thing is super easy for me to just create mental routines and create daily routines. Are there days that I forget or I skip? I have to say not as much anymore, but yes, even now, there are days where I run out the door, or one of my kids is saying, Mom, hurry up, let's go, we gotta go, we're late. And I just jump in my car and I don't do anything. But I have to say, usually I come back sometimes later in the morning and I take my supplements and I take my essential oils and I restart my day, if you will. The other thing you want to do is you want to choose easy routines first. So if you're a novice to essential oils, you're just getting started, please don't get bogged down by taking all sorts of 10 different supplements and 15 oils and diffusing day and night and making all sorts of diffuser blends, because what happens to us if the routine is too complicated or it takes too long, we burn out and then we drop it. So what I'd like to encourage you to do, and as you talk to people and help them to become more proficient in their essential oil use, is teach them easy routines first. I've talked many times about the routine that Dr. Hill has instructed many of us to use. He talked about it at the last convention in Utah, which is basically grapefruit and frankincense under the tongue first thing in the morning, followed by the routine of LLV, Lifelong Vitality Pack, including Microplex VMZ, our omegas, and then finally Alpha CRS. He also likes Terrazyme and PB Assist included in that routine during the day at some time. And then finally, balance on the feet and serenity at night. So we're not talking about 50 oils or 75 oils. We're talking about a small amount of oils, maybe 4 or 5 on a daily basis, and then a small amount of supplements, so that your routine really is something that you can manage and that you can dive into. Now, if you need additional support for your health or routine, like my mom who needs support for her arthritis, then yes, you will need to add a couple of essential oils or supplements to that routine. The other thing is you can substitute things from time to time. So for example, I don't often take the Alpha CRS. I'm being perfectly honest with you. I have a little bit of trouble digesting the pineapple enzyme that's in it, but instead I take Max. And for me, that gives me the energy and the antioxidants that I need. Occasionally, I will substitute the Max for the deep blue capsules if I feel I need more anti-inflammatory support. If I've had an injury or I've been exercising very heavily, I want to make sure that I'm getting my anti-inflammatory support. So that's the way I kind of shake up my routine from time to time. And as I said, you want to link a new routine to an established habit. Obviously, we're all brushing our teeth every morning, everybody except maybe some teenagers out there or some young kids who still hate to brush their teeth. But let's make sure that we are doing things on a regular basis. Okay, so here's the 5 essential oils that I use daily, and this is no surprise, folks, but really pretty ordinary. I'm using 2 single essential oils and 3 blends. And I'm going to challenge all of you to really use the blends. Last time I was in Asia in May, and I asked how many people are using blends. So few hands went up that I almost wanted to cry. And when I was in Asia in January, I asked the same question: how many people are using the doTERRA blends? And really very few hands went up. What I love about the blends is that they elicit the same response in the body every time, because they're basically combined and pre-measured, and their molecular weights are balanced in a laboratory before they're put in the bottle. And that if you're looking for a consistent response over time, blends are the way to go. So let's look at the 5 essential oils that I'm using. Hold on one second. I'm getting a lot of things in the chat. Whoops. Sorry, everyone. Oh, gosh. Okay, let me see if you can hear me. Can I get a sense if people are hearing me now? Can you tap in the chat? Can you hear me better? Yes, better. Okay. I'm sorry that we had bad transmission for a second. And let me make the, whoops. Oops. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. Okay, I had paused a minute, Ms. Young, so that's why you didn't hear me, but I'm back on again. I was just erasing some of the things that were on the screen. So let me put you back in play, and then we'll keep going. Okay, so the 5 essential oils that I use on a daily basis: I use grapefruit and other citrus essential oils aromatically by diffusing them, and I take 2 drops under my tongue every morning. I do diffuse a grapefruit and other citrus oils with some of the conifer oils, things like Douglas fir or Siberian fir. I like that combination. For me, it's very invigorating. There's so many citrus oils, including lime, lemon, wild orange, bergamot, petitgrain, that I like to kind of shake it up, but grapefruit is one that I use each and every day. I also use frankincense every day, again, under the tongue, like the grapefruit. So I'm taking 2 and 2 drops, so 2 grapefruit, 2 frankincense right under the tongue, and then I'll have my glass of water when I first get up. And I'm ingesting the frankincense to increase mental clarity and for cell renewal. I feel like I live very close to a city, and I want to make sure that I'm actually getting enough frankincense on a daily basis to be able to keep myself sharp, and also to decrease toxins in my body. The third one I use on a regular basis is Serenity. Nightly before bed, I'll either apply it or I'll take the capsules, depending on where I am. If I'm in a hotel or I'm on the road, maybe I'm in a flight, I'll take it in, sometimes I'll take it in both forms. If I've had a bad night the night before, if I haven't slept well, I want to make sure that I'm taking Serenity in both forms. I take Balance, or I apply Balance on the soles of my feet. I also like Balance because it's very moisturizing. It has a little bit of fractionated coconut oil, so it sort of does double duty for me. I think it wakes me up, gets my blood running, and also smooths my feet. So I'm getting the 1-2 punch, if you will, from my Balance. And then I'm taking my On Guard blend, and I like taking On Guard either in a capsule. Sometimes I'm diffusing it, sometimes applying it directly on the soles of my feet, depending on the time of year. I'm dedicated to On Guard. I have to say, I want to say it's my favorite essential oil blend. I really feel like it's something that helps me, and I use it consistently. And I have been using it with my family as well. I know my kids use it almost every day, especially during the school year. As you know, I have a daughter who's at university, and while she's there, I know she has her own routine. She was very healthy this year. She just completed her first year of university and had really a very good year, especially in terms of health. So that's super important as a parent. You want to make sure that your kids are staying healthy, and your family members, and really whoever is in your household, whether you live alone or you live with a friend, or you live with a significant other or children or elderly parents. Maybe you live with a sibling. You want to make sure that your entire household is feeling healthy. And while you can't get everyone to do the same routine that you do, maybe children, but not everybody else, you want to encourage them on their journey towards good health and really praise them. Let's think about praising other people for when they do good. We tend to go towards the negative, which is, oh, I can't believe they won't take the oils, and why won't they do this? I've told them 1,000 times. They know that it's good for them, and they just won't do it. How about if they do it, say to them, wow, that's really great. You're going to feel so wonderful. And even taking a little bit is going to help your health so much. So go towards the positive if at all possible. Okay, so let's look at these two very fit people for half a second. They didn't become this fit by just going to the gym once. This is a result of consistency and doing things repetitively. These are people that are dedicated to their routine. And I will tell you that essential oil usage is exactly the same. Now, we look at these two people who are super fit and we say, we clearly understand that they didn't become this fit overnight, that they have gone to the gym, they probably run, they lift weights, they watch their diet, they drink water. There's all sorts of things that they're doing to stay fit. The same thing is true of health and essential oils. You're ingesting your oils, you're applying your oils, you're diffusing your oils, and you're doing it consistency. And only with that consistency, with that consistent behavior, can you see results that are lasting. Now, I will say that having talked to many people that have been using essential oils over many, many years, including most of the leaders that are on this call and many of the US leaders, they have seen profound differences in their health, and they've been able to reverse different conditions that perhaps they thought they would never be able to reverse, to be able to enjoy really vibrant and longitudinal good health. So that's the message of the two fit people can be our guide. You want to make sure that consistency really is our goal when we're talking about behaviors. So if you are sharing, I want you to encourage you. One of the biggest behaviors I want to encourage you to have is to listen and be kind with others. You want to be respectful to everyone you interact with. You want to give them a chance to talk, respect their differences, and generally treat them the way that you would want to be treated. The most important part of interacting well with others is to listen to them. It's hard for us sometimes. We want to interject. We want to tell them everything that we know. We want to help to solve their problems. But really what they want is for just to be heard and to realize that someone understands. I did a training here in the US last night. Some of you may have had a chance to jump on. I'm going to mention it again at the end of the call and see if I can try to organize it also for Southeast Asia. And one of the things that they talked about was listening to the other person, helping them to feel that they are heard. And that's particularly important when you're sharing. Behavior of learning to listen and not just to jump in is an important one. So if you are impatient, and I certainly am, and you feel as if the minute the other person starts talking, you just want to, you have something to say, then practice really just watching their eyes, looking at their face, listening to the tone of their voice, and hearing what they have to say, and maybe just acknowledging what it is that they are expressing. You're not becoming their therapist. We're not asking you all to become psychotherapists, but just that active listening is so important. Okay, I want you also, when we talk about behavior, when we're talking about essential oils, talk about your profile and your behavior online. We sometimes use our online platforms, whether it's Instagram or Facebook, or even sometimes texting, to hide behind words or things that we wouldn't ordinarily say to a person face to face. We want to make sure that when we're expressing ourselves in a public forum, we are being respectful. And certainly when we're talking about using essential oils in a public forum, we want to make sure that we're not denigrating anyone in particular or any group, and that we are really keeping the high road. You may have very strong opinions about politics or about your country or about religion or other subjects, and I encourage you perhaps to set up a special page or find an interest group that has the same views that you do. But what I would strongly encourage you not to do is to express any angry or hurtful feelings in a public forum, whether it is toward another particular individual or group of individuals. We owe each and every one of our friends and coworkers and the people in our surroundings dignity and respect. And I want to make sure that our social media profiles are the same. Please try to post things that are uplifting to others. I know sometimes it's hard when we go through a political cycle. I'm talking to my US friends. You may agree with who's being elected or not agree with who's being elected or the platform that they're standing on, but just let's keep it all in a very civil tone. I think by setting the example ourselves, we can really elicit the same type of response. And if someone does get on one of your platforms, whether it's a WhatsApp chat group or another group, and begins to pontificate about something in an angry or with a lot of vitriol, you want to gently encourage them to find another platform to do that. So our social media has a lot of different aspects, and it's our identity. It's where we find friends. We connect with people. We have lots of participants. We're looking for ratings or comments. We're looking for likes, and we're sharing things because we're trying to boost up our own image. Now, while social media is a way for us to increase our own visibility and to become more visible to others, I want to encourage you to think about what it is you're sharing. And that goes back to branding, which we talked about last week, your appearance on social media. Are you consistent across all of your networks? And moreover, are you sending the same message? Are you telling people, are you showing up? Are your behaviors consistent? And look, I clearly understand that it's not always easy, but what I'd like you to consider is start small. Is what you're saying on your Instagram feed the same as what you're saying on your Facebook page? And are your text messages consistent? Are you not lashing out at anybody when you become angry? Put down the phone, just take a deep breath. If you're angry, maybe write a letter by hand, read it, and then put it aside. Don't send those angry messages. We want to make sure that your behavior is consistent and also professional. And that's what we're talking about here. We're not talking about behavior that necessarily whitewashes all of your personal characteristics. Some of us have very strong opinions and strong characters, and that's what makes the world go around. But we want to be able to at least present a professional persona in the public sphere. Okay, as you interact with others, remember this. Anytime a person's response is larger than the issue at hand, the response is almost always about something else. Now, this is your behavior going forward with others. Sometimes someone will say something online or in a chat group that really just makes our blood boil. We are furious. Or they don't respond to us, or they respond in a way that seems snippy or unkind. I want you to take a deep breath and try to think about the other person for a while. I hear over and over from leaders, she didn't respond to me, she didn't get back to me, she didn't call me. Let's take a deep breath. We all have very busy lives. And while your focus is doTERRA and sharing and building your business and helping others to become healthy, other people have different focuses and they have different family expectations. We want to make sure that we're mindful of this. So sometimes when we get a text message and we read it and the hairs on the back of our neck go up because we think that the other person is being angry or fresh or irritable, let's just take a deep breath for a moment and maybe not reply in that moment. The other thing is you do not have to reply to every text message. I'm going to say that again. You do not have to reply to every text message. Sometimes if someone says something that's snippy or sharp or in bad humor or in bad taste, you have the right to remain silent and not to engage with that person. So please, everyone, if you're having difficulty with another person, silence is golden. And remember that the other person's response is almost always about something else. Okay, so here are a couple of characteristics that I love to show, because I think all of them can help you with success. And whether you've taken the Strengths Finder or not, this little group of, I think it's 12 or 13 characteristics are really just so strong that I want to make sure that as you're going out there and you're talking about or looking at your behaviors, you're incorporating these characteristics into your behavior. Are you intelligent or innovative? Are you imaginative, insightful, or intellectual? Are you intuitive, industrious, inspiring? Do you have integrity? Are you incorruptible? Are you influential? Are you individualistic or independent? All of these characteristics will help you, and all of these behaviors will help you to have success in your doTERRA business. And they'll also help you as you're sharing with others and using essential oils. So be aware of what your strengths are, again, and try to incorporate them into your daily routine. And finally, anger is a bodyguard of fear. So when we're talking about behaviors, we want to make sure that if we see anger or we feel anger, that we recognize truly what anger is. And it's just protecting us from a fear that we may be feeling or that the other person may be feeling. So as we develop our behaviors, as we develop our habits going forward, we begin to look more insightfully and listen more carefully to the other people that are around us. Okay, so I'm going to stop the share. Hello, I'm back. I hope that provided some insight for all of you. It sounds like I think everyone's back on and can hear can hear properly. I'm sorry we had a little bit of a bump in the road in terms of sound in the middle. I'm going to actually stop the recording and then I'm going to announce our winner. So hold on.